but set 3 glasses on the table, and then took out from a cupboard a little round, long-necked bottle, from which he poured out a glass for Ratsey and himself. Then he half-filled the 3rd, and pushed it along the table to me, saying, "There, take it, lad, if thou wilt. 'Twill do thee no good, but may do thee no harm." Ratsey raised his glass almost before it was filled. He sniffed the liquor and smacked his lips. "O rare milk of Ararat," he said, "it is sweet and strong, and sets the heart at ease. And now get the backgammon board, John, and set it for us on the table." So they fell to the game, and I took a sly sip at the liquor, but nearly choked myself, not being used to strong waters, and finding it heady and burning in the throat. Neither man spoke, and there was no sound except the constant rattle of the dice and the rubbing of the pieces being moved across the board. Now and then one of the players stopped to light his pipe, and at the end of a game they scored their totals on the table with a bit of chalk. So I watched them for an hour, knowing the game myself, and being interested at seeing Elsevier's backgammon board, which I had heard talked of before. It had formed part of the furniture of the Why Not for generations of landlords, and served perhaps to pass time for cavaliers of the civil wars. All was of oak, black and polished, board, dice-boxes, and men, but round the edge ran a Latin inscription inlaid in light wood, which I read on that first evening, but did not understand till Mr. Glennie translated it to me. I had cause to remember it afterwards, so I shall set it down here in Latin for those who know that tongue. Ita invita ut in lusu aliae pessima jactura arti corrigenda est. And in English, as Mr. Glennie translated it, as in life, so in a game of hazard skill will make something of the worst of throws. At last Elzevir looked up and spoke to me, not unkindly. "Lad, it is time for you to go home. Men say that Blackbeard walks on the first nights of winter, and some have met him face to face betwixt this house and yours." I saw he wanted to be rid of me, so bade them both good night, and was off home, running all the way thither, though not from any fear of Blackbeard, for Ratsey had often told me that there was no chance of meeting him unless one passed the churchyard by night. Blackbeard was one of the Mohuns who had died a century back, and was buried in the vault under the church with others of his family, but could not rest there, whether, as some said, because he was always looking for a lost treasure, or, as others, because of his exceeding wickedness in life. If this last were the true reason, he must have been bad indeed, for Mohuns have died before and since his day, wicked enough to bear anyone company in their vault or elsewhere. Men would have it that on dark winter nights Blackbeard might be seen with an old-fashioned lanthorn, digging for treasure in the graveyard, and those who professed to know said he was the tallest of men, with full black beard, coppery face, and such evil eyes that any who once met their gaze must die within a year. However that might be, there were few in Moonfleet who would not rather walk 10 miles round than go near the churchyard after dark, and once, when Cracky Jones, a poor doited body, was found there one summer morning lying dead on the grass, it was thought that he had met Blackbeard in the night. Mr. Glennie, who knew more about such things than anyone else, told me that Blackbeard was none other than a certain Colonel John Mohun, deceased about 100 years ago. He would have it that Colonel Mohun, in the dreadful wars against King Charles I, had deserted the allegiance of his house and supported the cause of the rebels. So, being made governor of Carisbrooke Castle for the Parliament, he became there the king's gaoler, but was false to his trust, for the king, carrying constantly hidden about his person a great diamond, which had once been given him by his brother King of France, Mohun got wind of this jewel, and promised that if it were given him he would wink at his Majesty's escape. Then this wicked man, having taken the bribe, plays traitor again, comes with a file of soldiers at the hour appointed for the king's flight, finds his majesty escaping through a window, has him away to a stricter ward, and reports to the Parliament that the king's escape is only prevented by Colonel Mohun's watchfulness. But how true, as Mr. Glennie said, that we should not be envious against the ungodly, against the man that walketh after evil counsels. Suspicion fell on Colonel Mohun. He was removed from his governorship, and came back to his home at Moonfleet. There he lived in seclusion, despised by both parties in the state, until he died, about the time of the happy restoration of King Charles II. But even after his death he could not get rest, for men said that he had hid somewhere that treasure given him to permit the king's escape, and that, not daring to reclaim it, had let the secret die with him, and so must needs come out of his grave to try to get at it again. Mr. Glennie would never say whether he believed the tale or not, pointing out that apparitions both of good and evil spirits are related in Holy Scripture, but that the churchyard was an unlikely spot for Colonel Mohun to seek his treasure in, for had it been buried there, he would have had 100 chances to have it up in his lifetime. However this may be, though I was brave as a lion by day, and used indeed to frequent the churchyard, because there was the widest view of the sea to be obtained from it, yet no reward would have taken me thither at night. Nor was I myself without some witness to the tale, for having to walk to Ringstave for Dr. Hawkins on the night my aunt broke her leg, I took the path along the down which overlooks the churchyard at a mile off, and thence most certainly saw a light moving to and fro about the church, where no honest man could be at 2 o'clock in the morning. End of chapter 1. Recording by Graham Redman.